Hi, it's Chantel here from Fiberific. This is our final rainbow sock knit along video. We have made this sock from the start with tutorials. So if you are just finding these and want to see how we've made these so far up to here, then click on the little eye thing. There'll be an eye somewhere for you to click that will take you to a playlist with the rest of the videos. According to our pattern, we are now up to the toes section. So to get to the toes, you need to have completed your foot up to approximately 4 centimeters from the very tip of your biggest toe or your longest toe. Okay, so then we're going to start working our decreases. So let's jump in. Now, this is decision time. So we are at our marker, ready to start our toe decreases. I'm going to be just going with straight grey all the way through. But if you've got any colour left and you just want to put in one more section of colour, totally do it. These are your socks and you can make them however you want. I decided not to do a colour change purely because I forgot to change colours on the other sock. And so I want to make this sock match. So yeah, I would highly recommend changing colours just to get that one more little bit of colour in. But if you don't, or you don't want to, and you're going to do what I'm doing and just go all grey, then let's go all grey together. The pattern says toes. Then we've got decrease round. Okay, so for this round, we are going to knit one. So the next stitch is a slip, slip, knit. So you slip it as if you're going to knit it. Slip the next one as if you're going to knit it. Come in behind both and knit them together. So come in under here and then bring the yarn over and then knit the 2 stitches together. So that's our slip, slip, knit, decrease. We're going to do a few of those. So now we're going to knit to the end of needle 1. So just knit along to the end of needle 1. Now depending on the size of sock that we're doing, we'll have different numbers of stitches left on our needles. It's important to make sure that you, at this stage, you do have the same number of stitches on each of your needles. If you don't, as you go around, maybe do a little decrease just to get them all to the same. So that's needle 2. So needle 2, we knit to 3 stitches before the end of the needle. So knit around until you're at the last 3 stitches. I made it to my last 3 stitches there. Now what we need to do is knit 2 together and then knit 1. So knit 2 together. And then knit 1. Okay, so that is the end of needle 2. We're on to needle 3. Okay, so needle 3, we knit 1. And then we slip, slip, knit again. So slip, slip, and then we go in behind and knit those 2 stitches together. And then we knit to the end of this needle, or this to where our marker is. Now on to marker 4. And that is knit to the 3 stitches before the end of the needles. Just the same as the other one. Okay, we're at the last 3 stitches and we need to knit 2 together. And then knit 1. And then we're back at the start again. I'll pop that up and change it for a 1. Our next round is just to knit all the way around. So just straight up, knit all the stitches. I'll meet you at the end of the round. So now our instructions say repeat the decrease round, and it's got this weird little graphic. And so it wants us to repeat the decrease round, and it will depend on what size sock you're knitting. So I'm knitting the largest size, so I'm this number at the end, see the 1, the 2 and the 3. Okay, so because I have more stitches, I do need to decrease a bit more often. So if you're knitting the smallest size, you're going to have a 0. You're not going to do the first one at all. So we just follow this instruction. So how it says repeat the decrease round every 4th round, that means knit 3 rounds and then on the 4th round do our decrease round with our slip knits and what have you, and you follow this graph. So you do it once every 4th round. Then in the second section here, we have to do 2 decrease rounds, so on every 3rd round. So you knit 2 rounds and decrease, then knit 2 rounds and a decrease round. Then the next one is 3 rounds every 2nd. So it's knit 1 round, decrease 1 round, knit 1 round, decrease 1 round, knit 1 round, decrease 1 round. Then here it is just decrease for 7 rounds, and then we'll end up with 3 stitches on each needle. You've got your pattern, the table that's in the pattern on the 4th page, that will help you if you get a bit stuck. Okay, so it'll tell you how many rounds you have to decrease. For me, I have 23 rounds to decrease, but you might have 22 or 18 or 24. So you just need to go with what the information says for your particular size. So you need to continue on with your decreasing until you're down to the 3 stitches on each needle. At some stage, if you're using the 9-inch circulars, you are going to need to change needles or add some more needles. At about sort of the 40 stitches mark, or even maybe even a few more depending on your comfort zone, you're going to find it's too hard to work on this 9-inch circular. So I'm actually going to add in some 2.25 double pointed needles, like from the ChowGoo double pointed needle set. I find these to be really, really gorgeous little set. Little tip, don't tip it upside down when it's open. They just are so smooth, they just slide out. So if you don't want to go to the double pointed needles, you are going to need to add in a second circular. To graft just the toe stitches, we're going to need to have our stitches on 2 needles. So I've gotten down to 3 stitches between each marker. So there's 12 stitches in total. Now, depending on how whether you use double pointers or a long circular or whatever, I just added in 2 double pointers to make a 3 triangle. It was a little tricky. I probably should have gone with 4. But now what we need to do is reorder those stitches. Everything on stitch marker 1 and 2 are the sole of the foot. Markers 3 and 4 are the top of the foot. So I'm just picking these stitches up to reorder it all. So that's needles 1 and 2 going onto the first needle. So there should be 6 stitches in total. 2, 4, 6, yep. And then with our other DPN, we just take off this marker, but we need all our stitches from needles 3 and 4, so it should again be another 6 stitches. So I've got the 1 here, and then 1 here, and then 2, 3, flip that out of the way, 1, 2, and 3. You can see on here that we've got 5 stitches on each needle. It's not focusing, there we go, it's got 5 stitches on each needle. And now we're going to graft those. At this stage, you'll have no stitch markers on the very tip here of your sock. You're just going to have your 5 stitches from the front, 5 stitches from the sole. So you've got your sole there and your front there. So we've got our 10 stitches to graft on. So I like to have a good sized tail when I'm grafting. I'd much rather overestimate than end up running out, and like having to splice on a graft is a nightmare. So we've only got a really short amount. So the general rule is 3 to 4 times the length of the yarn for the number of stitches. So like literally just sort of, you know, pull your yarn across and measure it. But this is such a short amount. I'm just going to keep a nice long tail just so that I've got plenty of room to work with. So what we have to do for grafting is we cut this yarn now. For grafting, you will need to have a sewing in needle. So you want something that's not too thick. One of those really thick plastic crowbars is not a good idea here, because to graft it, what we're technically doing is we are technically sewing the stitches. So how your stitches look is like these little curved U's. You're actually sewing those little curved U's in with a needle to make sure they go in and out the right places. So you don't want too thick a needle that's going to pucker and stretch. At the end of the day, our graft, we hope, will be nearly invisible. Okay, now we're going to graft the last of these little stitches. So we've got our yarn tied on. We've got our yarn through a tapestry needle. You don't want it too big. This one's probably just a smidge small. Sorry, it's attached to the back needle here. So first thing that we need to do is actually set up our graft. So we need to, at the front, using our needle, think of it like a knitting needle, and we pull it in, we put it in as if we're going to purl and feed that through and bring all the yarn around. And then at the back, we go as if we're going to knit. So put it in under, make sure your yarn goes under your needle, not over the top. So that you go in under and then put it in as if you're going to knit, pull it through and leave it on the needle, give it a little tug. Okay, now we're going to go into the section, the repeating section. So that was the setup, how we do our setup. Now what we need to do is with our yarn needle, go into the first stitch as if you're going to knit it. It's a little, you might want to get these a bit closer to the end. So you put it in as if we're going to knit it and just pop it straight off the end, pull our yarn through, give it a tug. You don't want to make it too tight, but you certainly don't want it too loose. And then what we need to do is set up the next stitch. So put that in purlwise, pull that through, but leave it on your needle, okay? Don't take it off yet. Now we're going to work on the stitch on the back. So we need to put it, we're going to work on the stitch on the back. So pop it in purlwise and take it off, pull that through, give it a little tug, then go through knitwise and then leave it on. Now we're going to do this all the way to the end, okay? So we've taken off one stitch of each needle now. So now we need to take off the rest of the stitches. So from the front, we're going to knit, and we're going to put it in knitwise and pop it off. Pull the yarn through. Then we're going to purlwise that stitch and leave it on. Don't take it off. Then we're going to move to the back. So we put that in purlwise and pop it off. Pull our needle through. And we're going to set it up for the next row by putting it through like we're going to knit it and leave it on, don't take it off. Now you can have a little look and just double check that your stitches are tidy and not too, they're not too loose. These look fine to me. If they're too baggy, you can just give them a little snug up. You can go through and pull on each one just to give it a little snug. You want to do that every couple of stitches. You can't leave it for too long or you won't be able to give it a tidy. So go through like that. And then we move on to our next stitch. And then we knit off the first one. Snug it up. Purl that one, leave it on. Then purl off that one. Then snug, then knit that one and leave it on. Make sure they're all nice and snug. Not too tight, remember, we're trying to emulate what the stitches look like if we were knitting them. And then we knit that one off. Pull it through, purl that one off. And then pull that through. Now you might notice that there's just a little bit baggy here, but we can fix that when we're stitching them in. What I like to do is actually go through and pop my needle through to the other side, because now we're going to turn our sock inside out, and we just need to weave this tail in, because unlike the other ends that we wove in as we went, we did not weave this in. So I should do this under the little camera. Okay, so I've just got my thumb where that little corner was, just to make sure that when I'm weaving this tail in, oops, let's caught that. We just don't want it to come undone. Okay. Now I'm just going to trim it off at a loose angle, just similar to what's already there. So you'll see we've got 11 million tails to weave in, or not weave in, as the case may be, because of how we stitched and joined them as we went. So what I would recommend is give them a little trim back. So don't completely trim them all the way back to clear, but trim them back so that if they pull out a little when we wash them, that you've still got room to tidy. So see how I'm just making these little tails here, just little short tails, because in the way that we sewed in all these ends, basically I'm hedging my bets. Knowing my luck, when I wash it and block it, it's going to pull things a little bit. So we did weave it in for 10 or 15, depending on how many stitches you did. We did weave in a lot, okay? So, but for me, I'm always paranoid about this stuff, that I would hate to trim it too short, find that it came undone a bit, and then there wasn't enough to get the tail back under. But it's paranoia. But I just like to have it so that when I wash it and I stretch it a little bit, it does just sit a little flatter. With this amount of tails, you're not even going to notice it underfoot. So we're just going to go through and trim off all the tails with just a smidgy to spare. Now, one end that we do have to weave in and be cautious of is the end at the very start. So don't trim that one just yet, but you can go through and trim all the others. This is what it looks like from the inside out now that it's all trimmed back. We've still got little tufties, but nothing exciting. We're just going to weave in this last tail. Now, for the moment of truth, turn it back the right way. There's a sock on my hand. That is it, my lovelies. We have grafted our toe. We have decreased and grafted our toe. We have made a sock. We have also made an incredible pile. That's just off one sock. So there's 2 socks you're going to have that with. So if you can come up with a really good way to use little tiny bits of fluff, pop it in the comments down below. That would be really good to know. So a couple of little tips for you is probably go 3 or 4 double pointeds if you're going to go double pointeds, along with the extra, along with your 9-inch circular. It makes your life easier, trust me. Or just go with a long circular. Make sure you have not too big a needle or too small. That one was a bit small, really, wasn't it? But just the smallest needle that you can get your yarn through for grafting your toe. I'd love to see how you're getting along with your socks. If you're not in the Fiberific Fun Zone on Facebook, which is the links in the description down below, where you can post photos and chat with other people who are knitting along. I'd love to see it over on Instagram, so you can either @ me at Fiberific, include Misha Made, whose amazing pattern this was. So thank you again so much to Michaela Richter for giving us permission to go step by step through her pattern. It's been an absolute joy to do. I've got one more sock toe to graft off, and I have got my pair. I'm going to go and get Abbie to try them on and be all cute and stuff. So there'll be some little Abbie toes, because these were for her. I'm now off to finish off my last sock for Abbie. She'll be very happy with the progress on these, I think. Actually, she's not. They've taken way too much longer than she anticipated. I think she would have liked to have had them last week. So hopefully you guys get to sit and knit, do your decreases, do your decreases, and do your Kitchener stitch or grafting. I hope this video has really helped. I've really enjoyed this entire progress. Don't forget to click like if you've liked this. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Pop in and have a look at my other videos. There's lots and lots of other things that I have done so far, with lots more coming. It's time for you to fill your universe with fibre fun. Off you go. I'll see you next time. Bye.